More on one of our top stories this evening. A team of World Health Organization experts in Wuhan has concluded that COVID-19 came from an animal, but they haven't been able to identify which animal was the source. The team has wrapped up a month-long visit to the epicenter of the pandemic. For a closer look, we're joined by Ravindra Gupta. He is from the University of Cambridge. For more on this, Professor Gupta, the team hasn't been able to pinpoint the animal source of the coronavirus outbreak. What's your take on that?
Well, it's an extremely difficult thing to achieve identification of the animal reservoir. It requires a lot of sampling of different species of animals. Of course, there are different alternatives that have been postulated, either bats or pangolins. So in order to find a direct ancestor for the virus, it is really quite a challenging thing to do. And within the space of a month, of course, that's not really enough time to do this. I know that there are ongoing studies in China looking at sampling as many animals as possible in order to identify immediate ancestors of this virus. But it's not really surprised that they've not been able to find the species from which this possibly came in this month-long visit. Though I think it was symbolic that they were able to go to China and to at least address this problem.
Well, the WHO adds that a lab leak was extremely unlikely. Are you hopeful this might put such theories to rest?
No, I don't think so at all. Unfortunately, I would like to see the evidence presented as to what they actually did in terms of investigating a lab leak. You know, we'd like to see the records of all the experiments that were done, all the viruses that were being used in that lab. It is a high containment laboratory that's in Wuhan, and they do work on coronaviruses. So lab leaks are still, possible in my view. And unfortunately, this is very political, and it's unclear as to what evidence was presented or made available to the WHO investigators and what limitations were put on that.
And to that point, Professor Gupta, it has indeed been politically sensitive for the WHO. Are you satisfied with the access that was given to the team in this limited period of time?
It's not clear what access was granted from the press conference and what data were presented. I think they should be made publicly available for this to be to have credence and credibility in the global stage in such an important catastrophe that the world has suffered. I think that it is absolutely paramount that the data and evidence are made fully publicly available so that people can judge for themselves whether this investigation was conducted in the kind of rigor that we would expect of any scientific inquiry.
Well, experts on the WHO investigation team say it might take years to fully understand the origins of the virus. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yes, precisely. As I was mentioning, if it is an animal reservoir that led to this, then identifying the species and the most common, most recent ancestor of the virus will be a difficult feat because, of course, the animal markets in Wuhan, for example, have animals from various different parts of the country and even neighboring countries. So this is going to be very difficult.
Professor Gupta, thank you very much for your perspective. That was Professor Ravindra Gupta there from the University of Cambridge.